What T20 did to cricket is what PKL did to kabaddi.
Hi, welcome to Beyond the Field, a show where we talk about the thriving Indian sports industry. I'm your host Nadeem Sheikh, and I will be talking to sports industry professionals and bringing you 360-degree view of the sports industry.
Hello everyone, welcome to Beyond the Field, a show where we take you off the field and into your favorite sports, events and much more. My name is Vishnu Warrior and I'm joined by Nadeem Sheikh. Nadeem, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Vishnu. It was a great introduction by Vishnu. Vishnu has introduced this episode because we are covering sports commentary, and he has done commentary for over a decade. He's a movie artist who's done movies like The Red Rain, and he's coming up with a movie called The Quotation Gang.
Correct.
And he's working with actors like Jackie Shroff and Sunny Leone. But today we leave that and focus only on sports commentary and broadcasting. Welcome, Vishnu. We're just
Thank you,
happy to
Nadeem.
have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. That sounds so exciting. And what you do with this podcast, first of all, congratulations, because it's a great idea. And usually we just get to listen to the athletes and the guys who run the show, but this is going beyond, gives you a great perspective. It's almost like a 360-degree perspective, right?
Yes. So that is what Beyond the Field is all about, giving faces and voices to people that run the show, that make their best athletes perform at the top level. And commentary is one aspect which I personally feel is very underrated. The sports that is going on field will be less entertaining and less engaging if there's no voice behind the scenes.
Yeah, you're kind. You're very kind. You're very kind. But I think commentary does get its credit because, like you said, without the sound, without the words, without the great phrases that accompanies the sporting event sort of feels incomplete. So in that sense, it's not really underrated, so to speak. It does have its importance, and it is being celebrated. But I think what happens is not many people know the faces behind that. So there are a lot of commentators who are just voices, right? So, for example, one of my favorite commentators is Peter Dury.
Peter Dury, EPL.
But no one really knows how Peter Dury looks like. Everyone knows how Peter Dury sounds like. So, in that aspect, yes, the commentators are not celebrated as much as they should. But yes, they do get the credit.
So we'll first get into your background, Vishnu. Give us your background, your educational background, and how did you start your journey professionally?
So what I'd like to call myself or think of myself is I'm a jack of all trades. I've done multiple things, right? And the exact phrase is being a jack of all trades is oftentimes better than being a master of one. And I truly believe in that because I've dabbled in many things in my life. I've worked in a call center. I've done many odd jobs which I don't want to get into. But in terms of the media career, I've been a reality show host in South. So that's how my television career sort of started. Done short films. I've done ads, multiple ads, and whatnot. And then films happened along the way. And I've been a travel show host with this channel called Travel XP, so that's something that I've done. So television just came to me naturally because I've always loved being in front of the camera. That was something that I always liked. So it all started with a reality show. So nothing to do with sports really. So from reality show, then I was doing films on the side as well, and then the travel shows that I've done was the last before I came on to sports presenting. So I've done films like Red Rain, Karmayudha, and there's one movie called Party which did get released in Avicii, which won a lot of awards at multiple festivals. And so I try to sort of do everything that comes my way. Sports is something that I grew up like many of us. I grew up watching sports. I grew up wanting to be a professional athlete. So that was something that was there at the back of my mind as well. So since professional athlete is not something that I could pick up, so I thought why not speak about the professional athletes? So, and that's how sports happened. That's how Star Sports happened.
So give me a background of how did your journey start in the sports industry? What was the first project or event that you did?
Right.
And firstly, how did it come along?
Yeah, so I was telling you that I was a travel show host, right? So when I was doing that, I knew that Star Sports was going to go pan India in terms of they were going to open up channels, regional channels. And my dear friend Kuri, so she was already working with Star Sports. She was covering ISL and football events. So she gave me a call and she said, "Hey, listen, I think Star Sports is coming up with your regional channel, so to speak. And why don't you give it a go? Because I'm a Malayali who speaks Tamil as well. So I do commentary and present shows in both the languages also. So I thought that sounds great. But I've never really done commentary or been a sports presenter. So I didn't know how that will go about. But I wanted to give it a shot. So the guys who they were looking for are the ones are the RJs, the guys who had radio experience and stuff, because it's a seamless transition then. Like if you're an RJ, then the assumption is that okay, then you can do your commentary as well. But I didn't have any RJing experience. But then I was like, I'll still give it a go. And this was for Kabaddi. I remember, so when Star Sports launched its regional channel, they started with the Champions Trophy, but then I couldn't do that because I was traveling across the country for the travel channel that I was working with. So I couldn't come and give audition, but I was waiting as to when I'll come to Bombay and then when I'll be able to give the audition for the sports channel. When I did eventually get to Bombay, I got in touch with Star Sports and I asked them if I could just come down for an audition, and then they gave me a date, and then I went and I realized that this was for Kabaddi, a sport which I of course played when I was a kid, but then was not really aware of. I hadn't seen much of the Pro Kabaddi League, right? So I just prepared whatever I could last minute, and then I went and gave an audition, and I was like, maybe. I tried. It's not up to me. So I gave my best, and then I was selected. I was surprised, and then I was selected, but now I didn't know how I was going to perform, right? Because it's a completely new sport. It's a completely new medium for me. So we had a great workshop. They were really, really kind. They really handheld us through the entire process. We had, I think, a 2 weeks workshop to completely soak in whatever needs to be soaked in to be able to deliver for the sport. So we had that entire session. So that really helped. So Kabaddi was essentially the ongoing. Actually, Kabaddi is going as we speak. It's the Kabaddi. It's the Kabaddi season now. So it all started with Kabaddi for me, Pro Kabaddi League. Yeah.
And along the way, what are the sporting events that you have covered?
All right. So it started with Kabaddi, and then I've done, and then immediately after that, I remember the same season also was the season of Indian Super League, the football, right?
Yeah.
So Indian Super League is something that I've covered in multiple languages. I've done presenting and commentating on that as well. I've done the Cricket World Cup. I've been part of the Cricket World Cup. I've been part of the IPL tournaments. I have, it's an honor to have been part of the Khelo India Youth Games as well, which is also quite a big thing. You see a lot of young athletes coming up, and that's quite exciting for me. So yeah, so pretty much all the sports that Star Sports covers. Yeah.
And I think along the way, there have been a lot of incidences that were on a lighter note, say, funny incidences. Do you have some experience like that?
Man, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Dude, I think you ask any commentator, there will be some goof ups.
Yeah.
Because we are humans at the end of the day, right? Yeah, many. I mean, this is not one. There's been multiple goof ups, to be very honest. Because it's something that happens. Yeah. So the idea is how you bounce back from that, right? And so just be kind on yourself. It happens. Yes, I know a million people are listening to you. No pressure, but just see how best you can sort of bounce back from that. So I think goof ups. There's not just one. There's been multiple. Yeah.
Any experiences you want to share?
You want me to be specific, huh?
Yeah. Anything.
All right. So I'll tell you this. So what happens is, so I told you I do multiple languages.
Yeah.
So there's an ISL season. So I present in so the pre-game show, right? The build-up show, the pre-show, I do in Malayalam, and then I run to my Tamil commentary box to do commentary in Tamil, and then I come back and then I do mid-show in Malayalam as well, and then I go back to do commentary in Tamil. And then I come back to do the post show.
Oh.
So people need to know that these are two different languages. not many people are aware. And it's really different. Like it's different, right? So of course there are some words that you can sort of understand if you have an idea of the language, but there are certain words that if you say it in Malayalam, for example, it carries a completely different meaning in Tamil.
Okay.
I don't want to say which word I used.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go get into
No,
the
we can
specific.
give you that liberty.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to get into the specific of the word that I used on my show because I had just finished my Tamil commentary and come there. So it's you sort of need to like switch off and switch on because you're shifting between languages and it's tough, right? So in doing so, there was a goof up that I would never forget for the rest of my life because it was one of the most embarrassing moments for myself. I just had to maintain a straight face after that because I knew I goofed up. Okay, but the real challenge for me was to just like sit through as if nothing happened, then just move on. I can see the guest sort of.
Understood.
Did you just say that? Okay, but I said, okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
It was something like that, but oh man, now that you asked me that, it will remain to be one of the most embarrassing moments in my professional life. For
Well,
sure.
I think all these moments build the person's character and experience. That something has happened, and you move on, and you make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Nadeem, you're doing a great job yourself, right? So now, when you're doing this, it is but natural to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the key is to learn from that. The key is to not be hard on oneself. The key is to say, look, yeah, I goofed up. Now what? Okay, and then just move on. And like you said, it does build character because then it shows you can come out of any adverse situation unscathed. So it becomes that, right? So that I think I'm sure you agree as well. As a host yourself, I'm sure goof ups happen, man, and also it also depends on the kind of guests you're having with you. That also is important because you might have someone who might not have the patience to sit through that, or he might be someone who wanted to point it out, he or she. But then again, it all boils down to how you react to that.
Correct.
You made a mistake, just move on. It's fine. Don't dwell on it.
So I want to tell our viewers that Vishnu has been very kind. What we do here is recorded content. So whenever I goof up, it can be edited. But on live television, live content, it is very serious. And what happens is you make a mistake in a split of a second. And you have to have that understanding of moving on, as Vishnu said. If you don't move on, the entire things looks very bad. And what he said is absolutely correct, and it's very difficult. And hats off to all the presenters, not only on sports but in general events or anything. If there's something goes wrong, we have to make sure that we move on and let the show happen, and then take a look back and take positives from the event.
Hats off to you too, man. Hats off to you too as well.
Moving along, Vishnu, you've done a lot of work and a lot of experience. I want to understand from you, if there's somebody starting off today into sports broadcasting and commentary, what are the steps that needs to be taken by him?
First, very, very important to know your sport. Right? For example, whatever sport it is that you want to get into, like if it's a specific sport that you're looking at, just know your sport really well. That is number one. That's the key. Second is to work on your communication. Right? So I don't do. When I say work on communication, it's like it depends on which language you're targeting. If it's English if you're looking at being an English speaking commentator in India, you got to work on your vocabulary and basically the communication, right? So because then you try out, you practice with your friends, you watch a game, put it on mute, try commentating on the visuals, try recording those. So those things, and then it's important to build a profile. So, in this age of social media, it is so easy to, with a phone, you can record yourself. It's essentially an audition, right?
Yeah.
So take videos of yourself doing those. You feel okay, you've done a good job, post it, and then collect and have those videos. And if someone, you just have to be ready, basically. And if and then send it to networks that you want to be a part of, and then take it from there, and then build, and then so networking is very important as well, but also is the efforts that you take to get to where you want to be, which is working on yourself and just be just be aware. Just know what is happening in the sporting world, and just have a nice understanding of things. So the key is to just focus on yourself and keep at it. Patience is very important because you might not get a call up immediately, but you will if you keep at it.
Absolutely. I was talking about my experience on Geo Cinema, the
Yeah.
start IPL
Yeah.
season. So there was this colleague of mine called Parth Rathod who's just graduated from Sports Institute, and we wanted to go and play cricket someday. And we asked him that if you're interested to come. He said, "No, I am doing commentary in a league, his own league that was happening in his colony." So he
Okay.
was, yeah. So he has a background in auctioneering, commentary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he did auction for his college, and he wanted to pursue that line. And he was picking up projects. It's a small project, but that builds on and adds on to everything. So that is what I understood from your point, that any project, irrespective of the size, you have to pick up and work on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what I do as well. So when these big leagues or when there's not much happening in the sporting industry, what I do is I do take up projects that take me to the interiors of say Tamil Nadu, which I've done, and I look at the young talents that are there, and so they have their own tournaments, they have their entire setup. So I go there, I watch how they do, I watch how the process is happening, and if possible, I do commentary on those as well. And it's because it's for the sheer fun of it, one, and it also keeps me rooted to the game. So that's something that I take a lot of joy in doing. So there's, like you said, there's nothing that's small or big. It's just it's up to you as to how you take it. Also, since you mentioned Geo, can I give a shout out to my good friend Anant?
Absolutely.
Anant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hi Anant, what's up? I hope you're doing well. Here I'm sitting with Nadeem. Nadeem is doing a great job. So just wanted to.
Moving on, our next question is around the evolution of commentary that has happened.
Yeah.
So over the period of time, I can say by my experience, what I have understood is earlier commentary used to happen on radios.
Mhm.
Then we went on to television.
Mhm.
Now there are OTT platforms, and I think the next stage is digitalization in YouTube and everything. So how has this evolution moved on, and what are the changes that you have observed?
So naturally, even when I was growing up, there was a lot of radio commentary around because that was the thing, and we used to take. I still remember we used to have someone in the class who would get a radio to sort of listen to the scores and hide it from the teachers and then listen to the scores because that was the only medium then. There was no social media. There was no like checking scores and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So radio was the only option. So we would actually take turns to take the radio. To take a loo break and then listen to it properly and then come back and update us. Right? So we've gone through as in I have seen that like while growing up. For me, radio was an important part of my life as well. When it comes to like getting to know about the sport, about the scores and stuff. And then and while I was growing up, then I think commentary sort of took over. Television commentary was always about two people. You would always hear like Harsha Bogle and Richie Beno and all these guys just with their booming voices and call out a game, and it was so fascinating as to how they would add so much life to the pictures that we're seeing, and that was very fascinating. And now as like you rightly mentioned, it's literally I think it's broadened to a level where you listen to commentary on YouTube platforms like YouTube. Digital commentary is something that's quite big now, and from it being a single commentator on radio, it's two-man stints. It's now evolved to like a 3-person commentary. Then you have celebrities now coming in and sort of promoting their film and doing a little bit of commentary on television as well. So it is very exciting. I still remember there was one incident. So it was, I think an India-Pakistan game, and Ranveer Singh had come to commentate. It was like a fun thing, right? He was so hooked, he refused to get up and go.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have stints, right? So we have say 1 to 5 overs, so and so, then 6 to 10 overs, so and so. I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah.
So the idea was to have him for I think a few overs, like maybe say 5 overs. But 6 happened, 7 happened. The other guys were supposed to take over, just waiting. But it's like, wait, let's 2 more overs. So because it's so exciting, so interesting, and especially when it's a game that you love, like cricket or football or whatever, and you're talking about it, right? And what greater joy can there be?
Yeah.
So.
And Ranveer Singh is one of my favorite actors.
So
yeah, what I like about him is his energy.
Correct.
He puts into everything.
Correct.
Whatever he does, it just makes everyone feel so happy, and he's always into it. Whatever you're doing, he's more into it and understands what you're trying to do.
I think if you put Ranveer Singh, he'll be able to commentate on F1 one side, for football on the other, cricket. So you'll be able to do all three. That's the kind of energy that he has. Yeah, I love it too.
Yeah. So talking about multi sports, I want to understand what are the difference when it comes to commentary across sports. You covered multiple sports.
Right.
I think you will be able to give a background as to what happens and what are the differences.
Yeah. So each sport has its pace. Every single sport has a pace. So cricket is, I mean, you can breathe, right? Because then you can set up the game really well. You have time to talk about players. You have time to talk about the occasion. So that's the liberty that cricket gives you as a commentator. Football, on the other hand, is more pacey. It's stuff happening for the first, like, it's a game of 245 minutes, and there's stuff happening throughout. So then your commentary changes accordingly. Then it's about, you need to get your narrative, the narrative as in the larger picture of the game. Say two teams are playing. What is the occasion, context? You have time to bring that up, but also at the same time you'll have to talk about what's happening on the field as well. So it is pacier than cricket. When it comes to kabaddi, it is literally a sport on roller skates. It's something happening all the time. There's action happening every single second, right? And with so what Pro Kabaddi has done is also it's revolutionized the sport in a way, because before there were no do or die raids, and it was just a very traditional way. So it was like what T20 did to cricket is what PKL did to Kabaddi. So it's just it's made the sport more entertaining. It's made the sport more pacey. So we just like Kabaddi is that. Kabaddi is like there's no like first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. You start off in the fifth gear and then you break the gear. So just you go off the roof. Right? So every sport is different. Every sport has its pace. So the idea is to find the beat of a sport, the rhythm of a sport, and then once you find that out, then your commentary will be paced accordingly. Absolutely.
So I watch a lot of UFC, and the commentary in that, like Joe Rogan, I think everybody must have heard about him, and his commentary is just off the charts. And that is a sport which is a momentous sport. That there's a moment, there's an impact pace, and then there's everything flowing. And when the impact happens, you have to build on that moment and make sure that you're covering that at your best.
Is that something that you like doing? Would you be interested in doing like a UFC commentary?
UFC commentary, but I watch UFC commentary. I consume a lot of content, but I have to have the sports background, the understanding. I have hooks and jabs and everything. But I don't think I'm that prepared to do commentary on UFC. But if something comes up, I'm happy to try it out.
No, I watched UFC, and I'm not a keen follower of UFC, but the sport does sound really brutal. It's I think it's already we already have UFC commentary in India. I think a couple of my friends do it as well. Somesh, Arjun.
No, I watch it in English commentary.
Yeah, so they do it for a channel, because it's already coming up. So I think the avenues will open up, and of course UFC will have its own pace. Right?
Yes.
Like you got to be really, and also in the one thing that remains constant is you need to know the technical terms that is happening, and you got to sort of, even if you haven't played it, you need to be really aware of what is happening.
Absolutely. And also, like, you need to have the technical calls as to what is happening. So, for example, in badminton, what happens with commentary is when the action is going on, you cannot commentate.
Correct.
When there's a break, then you have to commentate.
Tennis.
All racket sports basically.
Sports, yeah.
So you have to understand what's a drop shot, what is a smash, and what are the angles and everything. So I think that sport-specific knowledge is very keen.
The most important.
Yeah. And what are the elements or things that separates regular commentators with great commentators? Is it the sports knowledge? Is it their ability to tell stories, or what is it?
I think what makes commentary great is going beyond the pictures. Everyone's watching what's happening. What are you adding to the pictures? Right? That is what separates the best from the rest. Doing commentary, just going by what is happening and talking about it is not as challenging as going beyond it and creating a narrative around it. So I think anyone who's able to do that, and there's a lot who's able to do that, I think that's what makes them great.
Okay. And the most difficult question from my aspect, how do you maintain impartiality?
Man, are you referring to the recent loss in the final?
In the finals, there will be multiple instances. Like when we watch as a fan, अरे यार ये कैसे out हो गया? अरे इसको ऐसा खेलना चाहिए था. Like one instance that I remember is like how Surya Kumar Yadav plays. Surya Kumar Yadav, I'm a big fan of Mumbai Indians, heavy supporter of Mumbai player. He's a Mumbai player. But the shots that he plays are very unusual and unnatural. If it comes out, it looks good. But if it doesn't come out, it looks like कि यार ये थोड़ा सा गलत तरीके से out हो गया. ये out होने का chance ही नहीं है इसमें. So at that instances, even the commentator he played a bad shot. वो तो बहुत natural बोल रहा है, but अंदर बोल रहा होगा अरे यार तू क्या कर रहा है?
अंदर यही बोल रहा है, यही बोल रहा है for sure. That's exactly our inner monologue, which we can't obviously say it out on air. At least I can't say it out on air.
Yeah.
I remember I called the shots for the final, and it was just it was, of course, I mean, you're disappointed, you're upset,
Yes.
you're hurt because India was just slated for, I think, a domination, because that's how it's been. It was throughout the league stages, right? So all of us were very confident that India was going to, India had it. But apart from the first 10 overs, India didn't have anything. It was just Australia. Let's just be honest, because they were better. They were really good on that day, and that's what matters, right? Yeah. Who's the better team on the day when it matters? And Australia were that team. So yeah, it is tough. As to your question of maintaining impartiality, that's what you train to be, right? At the end of the day, it's two teams playing, and you're calling out the sport, and you're not a spokesperson for a specific team. But with the regional commentary that is come in, it's okay. Like, sometimes when you're upset, when you're disappointed, you can voice it out. It's okay. But just don't, again, we're coming back to, because sports is all about moving on, right? Yeah. Something happens, it happened, now then move on. Like, you've expressed your disappointment at not seeing India play the way you wanted India to play. It hasn't happened, it's fine, move on. Express it, don't dwell on it. Credit the other team for having played an amazing game of cricket or amazing game of sports, and then congratulate them and be graceful. So that's what you need to train yourself, right? So I think doing commentary is also about it sort of helps you become a better human being as well. I think in many ways you look at things for the way it is. You say things for the way it is, as opposed to then having those expectations and all those other things that cloud your judgment. So I think, so you train. Basically, there's a lot of training that happens to then not sound arrogant or not sound like you're biased on it. So just train for it, yeah.
And how important is it to build rapport with your co-commentators? As we've spoken earlier, there has been an evolution in commentary. There was single commentator. Now earlier there were two commentators. Yeah. Now we've come to a scenario where we have three commentators in a commentary box. So how has this evolved, and how does things change when there's an addition of commentator?
It definitely helps if you're not trying to kill each other. I mean, it's important to definitely have a rapport. If you guys are friends, then there's nothing like it. If you're friends off air as well, which you can't be with everyone, but I mean, if you are friends, then it definitely helps in commentary, because commentary is also about complimenting the other, right? It's if let's say both of us are doing commentary, right, and we have of course prepared for the game, both of us know our game and we are ready to deliver, and I shouldn't be thinking about being better than you, or you shouldn't be thinking about being better than me. It's about the team. Say both of us, it's about how good we sound the word. So say you've made a point. I don't have to counter you with a point that I think is better. What I need to do then is to bring out why what you said is so good. Okay. So by making you look good, I look good, our commentary looks good. The same, vice versa. So it's not about being the better commentator, but it's about being the better team.
Okay.
So once you put emphasis on the team, that is the both of us doing it, then it becomes really good for the people here. Because otherwise people will be able to find out that okay, there's a friction that's happening, and it doesn't make for good commentary. So ideally, just speak with each other, be friends if you can, and talk it out, man. Because at the end of the day, you don't matter, I don't matter. It's the sport that matters, and it's all those people listening to you who wants to get something out of you that matters. So yes, so in that sense, equation with your fellow commentator is very very important.
And what is the pair of commentators that you like to listen?
There are many, man. There are.
So just to start off, you said Peter.
I don't want to name. Yeah, exactly.
Jim
Peter is one of my favorites. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they're one of the best. But that's what I'm saying. Like I said, there's too many people to name.
Okay.
So without taking names, there are some beautiful commentary that you can. Even in India, I think there are many combinations that I like hearing, and yeah. So I don't want to specifically name anyone,
Okay.
but I think Jim Milligan and Peter is definitely right up there.
And across sports, same.
Yeah, I would say yeah, for sure.
And what is the most challenging or difficult aspect of commentating on a live sport, and how do you overcome it?
I think the most challenging thing would be to be prepared for things that, like, I mean, just off the cuff example I remember is sometimes players getting agitated on the field and using words that are not very parliamentary. And then as a commentator, you have a job to sort of, for the viewers, because you're the representative, right? You're sort of speaking to them. And then you apologize, and it becomes a little bit of a tricky area to. So in terms of the tempers flaring up on field, we're not prepared for that. So then how do you sort of you're also calming the people down because you'll have fans of one team that's saying, oh no, he's right, and the other team saying otherwise. So that is challenging. It's if a game is happening smoothly, then there's nothing that you have to do. But when there's an interruption, when there's things like this that happens, then it becomes challenging to sort of, then you are changing your narrative, and then here's a new narrative that you're bringing into the picture. So that's challenging.
And we've come to a time where there is regional commentary and commentary across multiple languages. How has that contributed to commentators? Has this given them a leverage or added a layer to their commentary, or what is it?
I think it's just created more space, no? So for aspiring commentators, aspiring sports presenters who can speak a certain language, but they weren't getting an opportunity in commentary before, can try for his or her own language. And it is as exciting this consumers across the country for sports now. Sports is, like you earlier mentioned, it's becoming huge with multiple industries coming around it. So I think it's just given them a lot of space. So it's always good to, maybe, let's say if your mother tongue is Hindi or Marathi or whatever, just work on that as well. It's a chance. Maybe, who knows, you could be the next big thing in Marathi commentary or Hindi commentary or Punch. And now Jio, they did multiple things, right? So there are channels who are coming up with many opportunities, many languages. So I think it's just definitely given a scope for everyone, every single aspirant out there.
So just want to share this with my viewers that the second best thing that Jio did this IPL season, apart from me being live, is the Bhojpuri commentary.
Wasn't it? I think it was quite a range, man. So in regional, it's literally, it's like two friends talking, isn't it? It's like, let's say if you and me were to watch a game and then without the unparliamentary words, just with and also every language has its own color, no? Like it's got its own rhythm, it's got its own flavors. So it's nice to soak in those flavors and bring that out for the people. I think that's so regional commentary that way. I think it gives you a lot of opportunity to be yourself.
Yes.
Not completely yourself, but because there are certain things you got to be a little careful. But I think it's great.
Yeah.
Bhojpuri was, I think I watched a few clips. I think they were solid.
Yeah. Vishnu, I want to always have this fascination. I wanted to understand how does a commentary box look like. I've seen visuals, but what are the people and what goes on in the commentary box?
All right. So as soon as you enter the commentary box, you will obviously see the monitor,
Okay.
with which the visuals are projected for us to be able to commentate on. There's obviously the mics with its consoles that's ready, depending on two-person or three-person. So that's aligned accordingly. There's always a producer inside the room. He or she, they called a match producer, producing the match essentially. And then next to the producer, you would see the sound guy, in case you need to change the levels or whatever. So it'll be a sound guy throughout. And also in one corner is a very important person for all of us commentators called the statistician.
Okay.
He or she again is called the stato, who gives us relevant information at the time for us to be able to bring those numbers or to be able to build a story around those numbers. So a stato, producer, sound guy, the mics, the monitor, along with your fellow co-commentators. So that's essentially what a commentary booth looks like, which stays basic for all the sports.
Great to have this insight, because in my earlier year I used to wonder, like, these commentators, they look at the match and they commentate rather than looking at the monitor. I think most of us had that assumption. Because I thought कि इतना दूर से कैसे दिख रहा है और कितना accurately कैसे बोल रहा है ना.
No, so again, so that's the thing. So when you're doing commentary from the studio, it's different. When you do commentary from the venue, it's different. But even when you're doing it from the venue, you have an access to the ground from your commentary booth, right? So you can see. So you will have, for example, if it's cricket, right? You will have a fruit machine, which is basically an elaborate scorecard, right? Which you will have that in front of you. You will have again a monitor, even when you're on the commentary booth from the venue. You will still have that. You will still get those replays, right? So the added advantage here is you will be able to call out the field positions. When the ball goes up in the air, for a fact if it's going beyond the boundary line or if it's not going beyond the boundary line. So you have all these things, because when you're ball tracking on a ball that seemingly is going a long way, it might not be the case. So you have these advantages when you're doing from the venue, but otherwise it remains the same throughout. Like this is true for football, except kabaddi. I think even for kabaddi, I think when you're doing from the mat, when you're at the venue, you can still sort of know what the strategy is like. You'll be better equipped to be able to commentate on that when you're at the venue. But otherwise, you need a monitor. Yeah, like I think even for a commentator, because it's he or she needs to look at the replays. He or she needs to look at the angles and stuff. Yeah, so we do have a monitor with which we look at and then commentate.
Also, the stato that you talked about, obviously these are all initial thoughts when we used to look at a commentary कि इतना data पता कैसे चलता है? Every time very accurate. When a player walks in, this person has scored this many runs, this innings, this that shot. When a regular person watches that match, you do not understand that there are these people who are feeding him this data and information.
Okay, of course, that in itself is an elaborate task, but to also feed it to us at the right time.
Correct.
That is more important.
Timing.
I mean, the timing is very important. So that for me, which is why, so when I initially came to the sports industry, for me, who, if you ask me who I looked up to, it will be all these guys. It's the guys. It's all of them, right? It's the producer who has a task cut out. Then it's the directors, the camera persons, the floor managers, the stato. Because without them, it would be incomplete, truly incomplete. Because you wouldn't be able to enjoy, you wouldn't be able to get the experience that you deserve to get if not for these guys.
And all of these people that you mentioned, they work in tandem and very seamless. And if one person falls apart, then the entire flow gets broken up.
It's like clockwork.
Yeah.
It's like clockwork. Yeah. And once you're in the system, and you become part of that clockwork as well, right? So then you are you're seamlessly assimilated into the scheme of things, and then you become a part of a bigger thing, which is at the end of the day the sport that you're working for.
I think that is the thought and brainchild behind this podcast called Beyond the Field. Giving people the voices that are working behind the scenes and making sure that there is the user has the best of best experiences.
Sure, man. And I mean it. Like, if you go to even if you go to the ground or if you're at the studios, every single people working there, every single people you see there are there for a reason, and they contribute to the bigger cause. From the makeup guys, from the dadas, the spot dadas, the camera persons, like I said, the light men, of course, the producers, the assistant producers. There are producers who come to you who produce shows which is not live but they are recorded shows essentially. So everything, like I said, it's if anything in this because you won't look at it like, okay, I mean, it's just normal, but there is a reason behind everything. And even if one thing goes out of order, then the entire thing absolutely crumbles, and it'll just crumble. And I've seen that, and I've seen that happen with me as well. Because then, when you look at it from a third person perspective, you realize that everyone is important, and they're all there delivering their best, so you can go and deliver your best, and then the cycle continues. So it's like that.
And earlier you spoke about your experience where you were doing the pre-show in Malayalam and commentary in Tamil.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what is the importance of timeline?
Timeline as in?
Timeline as to you did a mid-show. You have to cover 10 things. And how do you manage that? And how do you transition from one task to another?
The task is only to shift between languages. Because the sport remains the same, right? Whether I'm commentating in Tamil, French, Urdu, whatever, it doesn't matter. I know what's happening in the sport. It is for me then now to go to my experts who are former Indian footballers. So I've had I am Vijayan. Yes, I am Vijayan, Joe Paul and Chedi. These are former Indian captains. So they are waiting, and I am the one who's going to anchor that show, right? So I need to now figure out how do I shift, because I have done 45 minutes of exciting Tamil commentary. Tamil is a very vibrant and exciting kind of language. And then now I have to shift to Malayalam. So as I'm walking from my commentary box, one floor above, I'm walking up the stairs. So I'm just like singing a Malayalam song to myself, something to get into the groove of. Because I need to sort of be speaking Malayalam. So yeah, so the only tough part when I do that, when I shift between languages, is to how seamlessly I'm shifting between languages. It doesn't become about the sport, because sport you're anyway watching, you've anyway commentated, so you know every single aspect about that. And mid-show, it's about discussing what happened in the first half of things. So then yeah. So and thankfully, coming back to what I said about having good co-commentators, I've been blessed with excellent co-commentators who've just helped me in every step of the way. And they ensure that I look good as well in front of the camera, because that's also important, because you need that kind of a support system in order for you to be able to give your best. So that way I've been blessed with people who've been completely understanding.
And just to add on to the point on timelines, it is very difficult. For example, a mid show is 20 to 30 minutes across, and there are 10 things to cover. And if one part, elongates, then everything you have to cut short, or you have to chop and change, and all of that things happen.
Yeah. So, interestingly, there are some experts who like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
There are some experts who do not like to talk at all. Correct. So, as an anchor, then you sort of then decide when to ask who, and if it's getting too much to cut, because we have something called an earpiece, without which we are handicapped, right? You know that.
Yeah.
So earpiece is essentially that establishes communication between the host and the producer, because he or she again has a list of things prepared with the visuals, with the overlays that is already being cut, which we have to speak about. So if it overshoots, it's a problem. And if you talk less, then that's a problem, because the overlay will just be going on and there's no voice, right?
It's like a mute again.
Yeah. So then once you're an anchor, once you're in the sporting industry, once you've worked with enough people, I think you will get to know exactly what to ask to whom and how much to ask, and that will just come with time. I think that's just something that you sort of, okay, you've tried it. Okay, this is what is happening. Okay, this is what I can do. Then it will become a part of your system. So again, I was fortunate enough to have worked with many experts, as in many former athletes who've come here and then are now part of the broadcast. Everyone has a personality, and everyone carries their own journey with them, and it is up to you how best to get it out of them, because there are so many things that they can share which will be useful for aspiring sports people right now. So it is up to you to how to get the best out of them and ensure that it doesn't overshoot. Yeah.
What does the timeline looks for a commentator on a match day? Like, how does your 24-hour looks like on a match day?
50 over match day. If it's
Any match day across sport.
Again,
See,
across sport, then again, see, because I recently worked on the 50 over World Cup, the ODI World Cup, there is no timeline. It's just basically you wake up, the next thing you know, you're at the studio, and then the next thing you know, you're back to your hotel, and then the next thing you know, you're at the studio again.
Okay.
So it's that cycle. So in that case, there's not really any timeline that the commentator has. It's just that you're going with the flow. But at the same time delivering your best. So for a game, for football, it's different because you have a lot of time because the games happen in the evening. So you have enough time to wake up, get your breakfast and stuff, then prepare for that game and do all of that. The same thing for kabaddi as well, because it's again an evening kind of game. But what remains across sports is one thing, which is just to be absolutely aware of what's happening and what's going on. So just reading news helps. Just the local newspapers will carry information so that, and you will get what's called a docket from again these statos and stuff that's compiled for you, relevant, pertaining to the game that you're commentating on. So it's important to make some few keynotes as to milestones and stuff that you can bring in commentary. So preparation remains the key across sports, no matter the timeline. So even if you have to say go to work at like 9 a.m. or even if you're going only at like 6 p.m., what remains the same is taking that time out and preparing your stuff the way you want to prepare.
And what is your personal way to prepare? Do you meditate? Do you look at data? Do you look at match reports that come in? You said newspapers.
Yeah.
And what else do you do?
I like reading newspapers. I like reading online articles. I like going for a run.
Okay.
Yeah,
Run?
I love going for a run. Yeah, it's something that I love doing, and I haven't been very consistent of late, again because of the 50 over. There's no excuse, but yeah, that's something that I like doing. I like meditating. Yes, I have my own set of things just to calm myself, right? But I don't take it. I don't unnecessarily give it too much of an importance because I like going with the flow. So whatever feels right to me at that point. So it could be a run. It could be just me sitting down and just taking my own time. It could be me meeting my friends. Just that unwind part. But then the game is always in the back of your mind. Like today, I know I have to go and commentate on the game, on the kabaddi, the ongoing PKL season. So that's there in the back of my mind as I'm talking to you, and so you're always aware of what's happening, but at the same time you do things to unwind as well. So it's like you got to get used to doing multiple things at the same time.
Okay. And how does one person who's a commentator balances between data and in-depth analysis of a sport along with storytelling?
I think it just comes it comes naturally after a point. But for someone who's starting out, it is good to know all the datas. It is good to have all the datas with you, and then go there. But also the important thing I have to mention is that what happens is many a times, especially because this happened with me, so I can share. What used to happen to me is, so I used to prepare all these datas, and I used to be like, now I need to say it.
Okay.
Right? Because that's something that you feel, I will sound smart if I say this. I have added this particular, I've learned this one particular thing. Never do that. It's not about that. Like, the numbers are there to help you. The numbers are not there to make you look like you're one of the best, or so that needs to stop. You're not trying to prove a point. You're selected. You got that job because they believe in you. You don't have to like go above and beyond, right? So that I used to fall in that trap myself. So I used to say that okay, I know this, I've learned this. This is a cool stat that I know. I need to find a way to say it. No, it comes to you. The moment will present itself to you. Say it only then. So there is, while preparation is very important, it is also important to not over prepare and confuse yourself with many things. Just like I said, just you know the game, you know the players, you know what is happening, you're ready. And you say certain numbers that can help you. Do not go overboard on it, because that is something that needs to, that it took quite some time for me to come out of that myself. So that I would say is very, very important.
I think what is also essential is for a commentator over a period of time is to build a personality or a character that they relate to. For example, we have say Anand, who's a very cool and easygoing person, and you like to listen to him. And then on the other side, you have Akash Chopra, who's very data specific and all of that. Do you think it is important for every commentator to build their own personality or something?
The idea is to let your personality flow through. Okay, right? You have a personality. You're within your personality, within the way you are, you're delivering your best. So your personality will automatically flow through. Like you, right? Like interesting examples there. So Anant is someone who's like that, who's cool, who's breezy. You like listening to him. Akash is also someone. Who I know Akash Chopra personally as well. He's one of the hardest workers in the world, right? So he's someone who prepares elaborately, and then he has his one-liners, which are a rage. So he takes those conscious efforts to do that, and that is his personality. So I think just don't think too much about, okay, this is the way I want to sound, or this is the way I am. No, just be yourself and deliver. Your personality people will be able to grab your personality. Like my point is, you don't have to take efforts to be a certain way. Just you are already a certain way, and just ensure to deliver your best. Like just ensure, prepare and deliver your best. Your personality will automatically flow through. People will be able to latch onto that.
Okay. And what are your personal moments on which you felt like कि भाई ये moment पे बहुत अच्छा commentary हुआ or something like that?
Many, again, because I've done multiple sports, I can't like pinpoint one. But if I have to say one moment that stood out for me was that. So in 2019, I was in England. I was covering the World Cup. Of course, I was already heartbroken about India's exit from the semi-finals, the run out. I watched MS Dhoni walk, and I literally saw, like, I think I almost teared up too. It was very emotional for me. But then it was the final then. Yeah. Nobody would have thought the final was going to be the way it was. The England-New Zealand final at Lord's. I was there. The 50 over ended in a tie. The super over ended in a tie. The boundary count. So in a game, 2 ties, unheard of. Boundary count was eliminated after the rule was scrapped after the infamous or the famous final. But it was one of the most exciting event that I've been a part of. So yeah, I would say from the ground, 2019 World Cup final, England, New Zealand.
And I saw one of your posts on social media with Sachin sir.
Yeah. Oh, how can I forget that? That was. Yeah, that was in I think that was in Lords, or I think that was in Manchester. I'm not sure, but so we were all there, and that reminds me, I need to up my social media as well. I need to start putting more posts. But so it was surreal, man. It was absolutely surreal, because the first time I was meeting him, and I was shook, because here's someone who I've watched ever since I was a child, who I've grown up admiring, and it was one of the most surreal moments. And thanks to the industry that I work, which presented me the opportunity to meet with the God himself.
Great. I think, what is your opinion when I say that the role of a commentator is beyond just commentating on play? Is it like keeping the people engaged, or what is it?
It is, like I earlier mentioned, it is not about just commentating on play. That when someone is watching, you will get that anyway. But it is to make it as exciting as possible by going beyond the pictures. Something is happening. Why is that something happening? What can happen? Giving predictions, and what is the context of the game that you're watching. So taking the viewers, taking the audience beyond what they're just seeing on the screen is what makes for good commentary.
Okay. And do you think these days the role of digital media and content has it influenced commentary in any way?
No, I think it's the other way around. I think commentators can influence, and there will be trolls, and there will be other things that comes out after a commentator sort of says a statement. But I don't think commentators in general they care too much about the opinions on social media or what someone feels or thinks, because trust me when I say this, commentator has the best seat in the house. He or she will be able to gauge the proceedings better than someone sitting at home. But yeah, digital, it's fun to sort of look at all the trolls and to get all the memes or whatever. But I don't think it's the other way around. It's what a commentator says that then becomes quite a topic of debate.
And how do you see the future of sports commentary with regards to technology, the evolution in technology? Is it going to enhance technology? Is it going to enhance sports commentary?
Yeah, a lot of sports happening.
Hmm.
Esports is something that is gaining momentum. As long as AI don't take our jobs, I'm fine. I'm just hoping that AI don't take our jobs. So that's the only thing. But otherwise, I think we're set up for some exciting times ahead.
I think recently, last week, we were speaking to our guest on esports.
Oh.
And yeah, we did one on esports and we covered the entire industry and the vertical, and that's a big thing.
There's actually a commentator now for Kabaddi who's done esports, and now he's a part
of your team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And after the podcast, one of the guests was telling me that the esports industry is bigger than the events industry globally.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that is the size of esports.
I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah. I think we've covered the sports commentary and broadcast on a broader level. Now it's time to chill and have a rapid fire with you.
All right.
Now we'll do a rapid fire. Quick rapid fire. Okay. One word to describe the future of sports in India.
Exciting.
One word to describe your journey as a commentator.
Adventurous.
Okay. Favorite sports moment you've covered in your career till date?
2019 World Cup final, England, New Zealand.
Best sports documentary you watched?
F1 Drive to Survive.
I think you're the second or the third person who mentioned that one. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we had Chintan who did that. Even one of the favorites is F1. I think we just stick on F1 and continue on that part. I think they've done a massive job by creating this documentary. And before the series F1 Drive to Survive series came up, I used to follow that. But post that, it has just exploded, and everybody is talking about F1. And now they have, I think there has been a recent takeover a couple of years back, and then now on YouTube also they are just exploding, and F1 is here to be there.
Absolutely.
One book that has had a significant impact on your professional life?
Muhammad Ali, His Life and Times by Thomas Hauser.
Okay. Favorite sports personality to follow on social media?
The Great Cricketer. Do you watch them? The Great Cricketer. I think they're a lot of fun, man. I think you guys should follow them to just have fun with the sport. They know how to have fun with the sport.
So previously, our guest have mentioned that I have been very pushy, so I want a name.
No, actually, no. There's no name. Like I said, like for me, I follow every. So that's the thing. I'm not a very big. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I'm not very big on social media. Right? I'm still learning the various things that social media has to offer. But when it comes to social media and something that I enjoyed in recent times, it's great. But I will ask you for a few tips. You tell me who I should follow.
See, I'll tell you an incident. So our team here, I'm also the same kind of person. I stay away from social media. They've asked me to be on social media to promote the content here. I am also a no-show on social media, but a sports personality I like to follow is Virat Kohli. Not on social media, but in general.
Yeah, of course, Virat Kohli, yeah.
Okay. One essential quality every sports commentator should have?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
If you could switch career for a day, so what would you choose and why?
Be a professional athlete.
Professional athlete. What sport?
Be a cricketer.
Be a cricketer.
Yeah, because I've always had dreams of being a cricketer. I still have dreams of being a cricketer.
Okay.
Because I don't think anyone will never not have dreams of being a cricketer.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think that's what I think.
The toughest challenge you faced during commentary period?
Shifting between languages.
Oh yeah. One word to describe your style of commentary?
Working.
Okay. Your dream sporting event to cover?
F1.
F1. Hopefully we'll have F1 in India.
We had.
Yeah, we had earlier, but there was a gap then. I think we had MotoGP this year.
Yeah,
At,
it's just too expensive. So I think now India is obviously growing. So
yeah.
hopefully soon we shall have them back on the tracks.
Yeah. Also, the government is also putting a lot of effort. And now we are looking to push for an Olympics.
Correct.
I hope we get F1.
Correct.
The most underrated aspect of being a sports commentator?
That they don't get to see your face much.
Okay, I think that's the best part, and not the best,
In a way.
one of the best
In a
parts.
way, yeah.
You're fascinated कि कौन है, कौन बोल रहा है? हाँ, correct.
He was like, I said, yeah.
Your opinion on incorporating humor into sports commentary?
Very, very important.
Okay.
Very. It's possibly the most important thing
Okay.
for a commentator to have.
Humor.
Yeah. It is the most. If you already have one, great. If you don't, incorporate it.
What's your proudest professional achievement so far?
Sports-wise,
Any?
proudest professional achievement would be that I covered IPL from the bubble, and it was in Dubai when the IPL happened, and then it shifted to Dubai. I got to spend an extensive time with legends like Sunil Gavaskar, Kumar Sangakkara, and the likes. We actually became very close because it was a 2.5 months bubble, and it happened twice. So it was one of the most. And then because that was the time when I pinched myself and said, "This is actually happening." So yeah, so that would have to be. Apart from covering IPL and World Cup and all of that, just getting to spend time with the legends and picking their brains as to many things. Yeah, for sure.
I think we'll have to design an episode around IPL in that COVID period, because earlier we had Nishad who also spoke about that period only,
Oh, man.
when it was very tough, and same routine. It's just hotel venue,
That's
hotel
true.
venue,
That's true.
and
We had to have a quarantine. We
Yeah.
had to be there for like 7 days with no stay, with no communication whatsoever. And then once the game started, it was just the stadium, back to the hotel. That's all. And obviously there were no people. So for us, empty stadiums is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't know what to do. It's the entire stadium because it's not allowed, and to survive that bio bubble and to come out sane, like I'd like to think I'm sane now, but so to come out unscathed is quite an achievement, I'd say.
I think we'll conclude with a one final question. What is one advice that you have received which helped you in your professional career?
Do not be overwhelmed by the occasion because since I grew up loving sports, just don't be enamored by the situation. Just keep a cool head. You're a professional. You're there to do a job. So no matter what happens, just be cool. And I also want to add that I got to commentate with two legends of the game, Sunil Gavaskar and Shreya. And so that for me is also one of the most proudest achievement. When I just want to add that as well. I just remembered, yeah. So just don't be enamored. You will get to work with people like that.
Yeah.
So it is important to know. Look, I know they're legends, but I'm a legend too.
Yeah.
Just that kind of attitude. It's important to have that because only then will you be able to do the job that's given to you. So the advice would be tomorrow when you do meet your favorite sports personalities, and in terms of as in the capacity as a commentator or a fellow co-worker, just be cool about it. Just be chill. That would be one thing that I would.
We were looking to conclude, but I'll add one more question because you added.
I will take that as a compliment.
So what is it like? Like how these guys are idols. They are like people who've done a lot of achievement in their professional career, and you are sharing the mic with them. And what is the experience? What is the vibe?
Like I said initially, so when I initially started out, I would be like, I didn't know what to talk. Because it's like, dude, I'm talking cricket with Sunil Gavaskar. I'm talking cricket with Krishnamacharya Srikanth. I mean, the World Cup winners. What am I going to talk? It was that. But so I was very, very nervous initially. I was very, very nervous. But today, like a Chica is a darling, right? He's an amazing personality, and he just handholds you at the right moment, and he understands that too, right? He understands that you're a young guy starting out, and he has fun with you, he jokes around with you, and then he ensures that the stint is beautiful. So like I said earlier, I was just blessed with having a great panel who was just always supportive. So I lucked out. But so just tell yourself that at that moment there are two broadcasters. So it's about that. You can be nervous later, or you can be nervous cut that and then come and do your job. So that's something that again you have to train yourself.
Great. Final question.
It's-
One advice that
Yeah.
you would like to give to someone who's starting up in sports commentary.
Be very, very aware. Know what you want to do. Work, seek as much as you can. Learn as much as you can. Keep trial and error. Because now, like I had earlier mentioned, because there's a mobile phone, everyone has a mobile phone. Just shoot videos, watch a game, put it on mute. Try bringing in your own commentary aspect. Send it across to people, and just keep at it. Persistence.
I think it has been a fantastic episode. Personally, for me, I've learned a lot, and I would like to thank Vishnu for taking out the time. From his busy schedule, he's up for kabaddi, but he's taken out time and he's looking at his watch as we rush. But it has been an amazing conversation. You know, we've broken up the entire commentary. We pull up names and we've given credits to the people who are working behind the scene. I think it has been an amazing experience.
Listen, if I did miss out something, I'm gonna like message you. So okay, I want you to add.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm just saying because I don't know. Like it was a nice conversation.
Yes.
So I might have missed out
Yeah.
certain things, but I hope it was okay.
Absolutely. So in my preparation, I've been like making up 10 points, but the flow is gone. So we've stuck to that. I think that is it from our side. Hit the like button and the subscribe button and keep watching Beyond the Field. Until next time.